In this video we learn very few basic things to have a better knowledge for our pattern exercise. We just work with shapes with a line. I just go into create shape and I just choose my line. I go into T, shortcut T like top view, and here we just draw a really simple line. You can see if I hold my shift key that it works in an orthogonal way. And I just click like this, and here a little bit distorted, and if I go back to the first point, you can just see that if I click then with my left mouse click, it just says close spline, and I want to close the spline because if I close the spline then this is only one point, and if I wouldn't say close spline, actually these would be two points. I can just go into my modify panel, and if I just once created something, I can change this in my modify panel. So first create something and then you can change it. And there's a hierarchy. If you open the hierarchy of my line, you can see that there are vertex points and there are segments. These are the segments, and there are splines. In this terms, this is actually the whole shape. Okay, we just deselect my spline level and I can close it again. And what I would like to look at with you is my snap functions actually. If I just go here into my snap toggle, we have 2D snap function, 2.5D snap function, and 3D snap functions. And I just first choose my 2.5D snap function. If I go on right mouse click, I can see what I actually want to snap. If I, for example, go into vertex points, and this is the smallest vertex point, then this is already quite handy. I just choose one of these points, and then I can move this point. I can choose my select and move tool, and it really depends. If I just choose one axis, for example like the x-axis, I can just snap other points, for example like this one. You can just see that I can move it and it just snaps. And I can do the whole same thing in my y direction. I just click on my y-axis, and here you can see that it just snaps with my y direction. If I want to move in both directions, in x and y, you always have to see that this yellow square is activated. So this is the way of how to move it in x and y direction actually. Most of the time I use my 2.5D function to work with this. Another thing which is quite handy in terms of your snap function, if you just zoom out and I just switch off my grid, I just use my shortcut G, I can just switch it off. I just hold my shift key and I can move this element, and you can just see that if my snap function is still on, I can just move it to the point. You can just see that it just grabs it. And this is only possible because I used my 2.5D snap function. Okay, I just leave it like this, and now there is a window which actually opens, and you can copy elements, and then they're completely independent. You can also use instances, and you can use references. If I just go copy and I just say the number 5, and you can see what's happening. I just copied it 5 times in the same direction. If I just take one of these squares and I just change, for example, one of the vertex points, you just see that nothing is actually happening. I can go back here in my list and go back to the point, to this move point, and I just do the same thing now with instance. I just hold my shift key and I just move it now to this point actually, and I go to instance and I just say an amount of copies of 5. Here we go. Okay, and if I now go into vertex and I choose one of the vertices, For example, like this, so you can already see that other vertex points are selected. And if I just choose this, for this I have to deselect my my objects. I just choose, for example, like the first one. I go again into line and can choose these vertex points. And if I just move this up, you can just see that they're actually all moving. Okay, we go back again. I just go out and I just go back until this point where I cloned it. One further back. And I go again into my line. I hold my shift key and I just copy my element, and I now do this as a reference. If I do this as a reference, it looks a little bit like my copying. But if I now choose one of these objects, for example like this one, and I move this point, then you can see that it's that they're all moving like with a copy. But I can just put something on top. I can just put any other modifier on top, for example another edit spline. Actually we work with spline lines, and if I do this and if I move this over the little gray line and I go inside and just move this point, then you just can see that this is completely independent. So a reference just uses all the knowledge of all the elements under the line, and if there's something only specifically for this object, it has to be over the line. And if I just move this down again, you can just see what's happening. Then they all get this information which was at the beginning only for this single object.